Hi, it's Jason from Fraser Valley Rose Farm. Today I'm talking about growing and selling plants as a supplemental activity and income for planning your retirement. I'm talking to Larry and Martha from New Jersey, and they have the Growing Our Retirement YouTube channel and website where they're showing how they're planning exactly this. They're a couple years away from retirement now, so getting a jump start on getting plants on the ground and planning for making this a part of their lives. For me, it makes a lot of sense. It's a way that I can make financial sense of staying on the property I love, selling plants on the side, having the hobby that I love contribute to my lifestyle, and having the world pay for it a little bit. So let's talk to Larry and Martha about their plans and how they're going to make this happen. Well, thanks so much for joining me, guys.
Thanks.
We're glad to be
Glad
here.
to be here.
What is it in your mind that makes backyard nursery, growing, selling plants such a suitable endeavor for retirement?
Well, for us, it's multifaceted. I mean, we had thought about moving, like downsizing and moving to something smaller, and which may have included moving out of the area that we live in. But then we realized that we love our place. We've been here 20 plus years. We have family in the area. I mean, what are all the things that?
Yeah, I mean, people were moving out because their taxes were too high or the cost of
Right.
living was too high, but we came up with a solution for that.
And then we've always had this love of plants. So
Yeah.
we actually had a couple of failed attempts years ago at growing trees out in one of the fields, and
Yeah.
just so
Like we
busy.
couldn't water them and they died.
We were so busy working, that we said, well, if we don't make a really concerted effort,
Yeah.
we're never going to get this off the ground. So
Right.
we started to experiment, started really slow, ran into I mean, we have a lot of background, but we ran into a guy that was doing a great job just growing trees in containers. And we said, wow, I mean, that's a sort of a game changer. We don't have to dig the ground.
Right.
We can put them where we want, so
Exactly.
there were a lot of pluses to that. And then, we're looking forward to, we're not quite ready to retire. We're looking forward to the exercise. We like to be outside.
We like to do stuff together.
We like to do things together, which is sometimes rare with couples, but we actually enjoy that. We used to run a business together years ago and we did well with it. But we like the outside life.
Yeah.
We love the plants. The extra income's nice. I mean, we think about it as kind of a component of our retirement savings,
Yes.
if you will, and that we have a large amount of plants growing all the time, and that they're increasing in value. And when they're ready to be harvested and sold, they'll be ready to be sold. So
That's great. I mean, I like the way it kind of dovetails. A lot of people come around to gardening at this stage in their lives. I mean, some people garden from early on, but a lot of people come into gardening a little bit later in life. And if you're coming up on retirement anyway, it's a nice way to take what is a passion or a hobby and turn it into an activity for after retirement. And you mentioned in terms of taxes, I don't know how it is where you are, but right here, since I'm on agricultural land, if I use it for farming like this, I get a big tax break on that. Is that the same where you are?
Right. So in New Jersey, where we are, actually, when we bought the property, it was partially farmland assessed. And then we didn't keep up with the activity that they were doing and we lost it. So they've changed the rules a little bit. Now it took 2 years for us to qualify to be agriculturally assessed. And what they do is they split off the residents in 1 acre and zone it residential and tax it residentially. But then the balance of our land is now agriculturally taxed. And it equals about a 40% break
Yeah.
in total taxes in what's already a high tax area. So,
Which was a big, factor for us staying in our home because we're paying almost half the taxes and we have,
Right.
we're doing something for our retirement to earn money.
Yep.
We're doing it together.
yeah, and part of our reason for earning money in retirement is like, the longer that we can put off hitting our nest egg and trying to live off the 4 or 5% of the nest egg, the longer the nest egg grows. And we haven't touched it.
Yeah.
And in the US, our pension or social security age now is 67. And I don't know who wants to wait till 67 to retire. That's
No.
a little long, especially if you have a pretty demanding job. So, so we'll be able to probably retire before that, but still have the income. And then the social security kicks in and then we can kind of take it from there,
Exactly.
So it's going to be a stopgap for us kind of for 5 years or so. And then we'll decide what we want to do. I mean, we might not we're on an energetic pace right now, so we may not keep that up 10 years from now.
Right.
So. Supposedly we're gonna get old someday. I don't know when.
Well, I think a lot of people hit that what we'll call retirement age and still have some physical capability left in them. So
Right.
work like this is good for a while. But
Yes.
you're right, it's not. I don't think it's a forever thing. I think don't count on being capable of hefting pots for the rest of your life. But
Yeah.
for a window, it kind of works.
It does.
Right, we're waiting for the day that we phase out the 5-gallon pots, and then we phase out the 3-gallon, and we get down to half-gallon and 1-gallon plants.
But yeah, that's not a bad business. So what are you growing right now?
So we grow a lot of what I would call border plants. These are trees like Norway spruce. We have a large problem with deer in New Jersey. There's way too many deer, and they love to eat everything, but they don't like Norway spruce very much.
The arborvitae don't get eaten.
The arborvitae don't get eaten, and the arborvitae are very popular a little bit east of here as you go towards New York City. People put up fences of arborvitae. So we found with the Norway spruce, white spruce, blue spruce, arborvitae, skip laurels also, that they're pretty deer resistant for the most part, and people come and buy 5, 10, 20, 30 of them, which is a real good fit for our model of mostly appointment only sales.
Yeah.
So, we can vet people on, on the online, and then if they say, well, I want to come and buy 20, we'll certainly make time for them to come and buy 20.
Right.
And that's our mainstay. That's our big thing. But we've been filling in around that with a lot of other things because everybody asks for more plants.
Exactly.
So we're like, well, we shouldn't broaden up quite a bit. So
Yeah.
we've been working towards that as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because a lot of nursery people, and it's true everywhere. If you sell a few plants, people will ask for more plants, and then they'll ask for more plants again. And ultimately,
that's a good thing.
You end up growing. Well, it is a good thing, but you end up growing a lot of different things and a broad selection, which I think is actually being useful for me. I've ended up growing a ton of not just the roses we specialize in, but a ton of perennials. I will do veggie starts when that season comes around. So you can extend your season a little bit by carrying a little bit different. I look at some people who do just one thing, and it is tempting because that makes things very simple. You mentioned arborvitae or I guess hedging cedar is what we call it up here. And I see people who grow a whole lot of hedging cedar, and that's nice because then you can just grow one thing, specialize in growing that one thing, and sell 20, 30, 50 to a customer, which is a great business, but it does limit you a little bit.
Yeah.
So we have, about 2 years we started with more like spireas, some of the different dogwood trees. Trees are pretty popular. And we also have an interesting thing in New Jersey and probably the whole Northeast with the ash borer disease killing all the ash trees. So we're going to replenish some of our, wooded areas. And I think that we're going to, 2-3 years from now, be able to sell some good sized trees to people who have lost some trees.
Yeah.
So we've been working a little bit with that, but we also have
Red maples.
Japanese red maples. We have several varieties of junipers, small bedding plants up to
Red buds.
Yeah, eastern redbud trees.
Rhododendrons.
Yeah, we're up to about 30 varieties, I'd say, at this point.
That's
Some
not
of which
bad.
though have not yet been ready to sell, so we
Yeah.
can't really comment as to how well they're going to sell.
Exactly.
So you have to take some chances, right?
Sure. There's some trial and error.
For sure. Do you propagate your own, or do you buy in the starts from someplace?
Right. So we do both. We started out initially with kind of a goal in mind in terms of time. And we said, if we buy this size spruce tree or this size arborvitae, it will be ready in 3 years. And that's when we wanted the income stream to sort of at least start to test itself and be sure of. But then along the way, on our YouTube channel, we started a little subsection about starting a very small nursery strictly from propagating because we love to propagate. But when you propagate, of course, talking about woody plants, it can take 4 or 5 years before they're ready to sell.
Exactly.
On some of the one sizes that we want to sell. But we're doing some of both. So we're propagating a lot of azaleas, arborvitaes for sure. Andromeda. So kind of the things that we are good at and do well. And then for the big bulk, larger portion of the nursery, we're buying good sized 4-year-old spruce trees already. And
like this big already.
yeah, they're already 20+ inches. Just because we know predictably when they'll be ready to sell. But we've also planted a lot of small ones. I mean, 2 years ago, we planted 700 Norway spruces. None of them were over 6 inches. And those would be sort of like back inventory that will come ready when it comes ready,
Right.
kind of thing. But they're less expensive. They plant fast, and we're trying to build some base.
Sure, I guess there's pros and cons both ways. If you start your own, I mean, obviously that's a lot of fun, as you mentioned. It's also brings your costs way down. But I think what you're talking about a little bit when you're trying to get a jump on your retirement, it is kind of a huge advantage to have plants come in with a bit of a head start where you don't have to do all the work and you can build your business anyway with some work that's being done by other people.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So earlier on, we were, making sure that we were going to have plants in 3 years or 4 years and be able to almost like on a spreadsheet predict some of the revenue or make a model, so to speak. I'm big into that.
That's why I laughed, Mr. Spreadsheet.
I got a spreadsheet for everything. And we're also, you have to think of it, if you're looking at a retiree, we write a little bit about this on the website because I think it's important. You need a lot of money, at least in the US, tucked away in your 401k or IRAs to try to then live off of 4 or 5% of it a year, when you could take a smaller, much tiny amount of money almost, buy some plants that are already growing, bare root plants, and make a 5 times markup on those, even on a very small scale. If you don't have $2 million saved, which, hardly anybody has enough saved for retirement. So you can't have too much, I think. So.
Sure. Well, you bring up a good point. You can take some of your, say, retirement money and invest it in this. But the question becomes, then can you sell it? And that it's only a good plan if you can sell it. So let's talk a little bit on the reaching the customer end of things. I do farmers market and plant selling events and garden clubs. A Facebook marketplace is great. But you're saying you're selling primarily off of appointment. How do you get to those customers?
So we do use Facebook Marketplace very heavily. We've built up some customers from that are a little bit more steady. But Marketplace has been great for us. I mean, we're just outside of a very populated area. So we've got 9 million people in New Jersey. We're within about an hour of most of them. So, and the plants, I know, Jason, you're outside of a city as well. If you go closer to the city, the prices really go up. So somebody who doesn't mind driving 30 minutes to buy a plant that's 25% less than their garden center. And if they want 20 of them.
Exactly.
So if we put an ad out for spruces, and we'll only have so many ready to sell each year, I mean, we could sell out in a day or two. That quickly. And because people come and buy 30, sometimes 50 at a time. So that's been a really good model for us. What we want to expand on is sort of some of the impulse sales and sell more other things.
Well, but since you've already done the work of generating the visit, once you've done that, just having the plants, just by having plants ready and being able to say, look around, that solves a lot of your other problems, doesn't it?
It sure
Agree.
does.
Yeah. And it would be much more rewarding for us to sell a much wider variety.
And I'm also going to be doing perennials and things like that. So they'll have a great variety when they come to visit.
Our so far 100% appointment model, is that kind of a downer? I mean, it's not that interesting, but
no, it's and we can talk about this on camera, is fine, but I think it's amazing that people have to, everybody solves the problem a different way, right? From
absolutely
where you are.
Yep.
So if you do,
So
if you do like I do, eventually I opened my business, 2 days a week. We're Fridays and Saturdays. That's a downer. We're only open 2 days a week, but we don't have the staffing to go 5 days a week.
No, it's a big commitment too.
From where I was 3 years ago, that's a huge increase. Before that, I was just doing community events. So Huge
Right.
difference, right? So everybody has to solve this problem of like, well, how do you balance your time
Yeah,
with, you know, what you have available, with what you have for marketing, with what you have
Right.
for staffing and all of that. So no, I think it works for viewers to hear that there's different models all the way
Sure.
along.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I think it helps people too. And that's a lot how we've learned from other people as well. Just
Right.
listening to what they do and adapting it to our situation.
Right. And we still like our privacy. Like, I don't want
We do.
all these people rolling down the driveway that I don't know are coming, you know,
Right.
and I want it to be, you know, you're there and we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a criticism I've received on my channel a couple of times, is people saying, well, it's so weird and intimidating that you have your house in the middle of your nursery.
Right.
Customers are going to show up and they'll be like, am I supposed to be here? And
Right.
Right.
and
Right.
and for my family, we have to have a space that's our own as well. So
Exactly.
some of the physical layout that we've done on the nursery recently has all been aimed at how do we make the selling area clear and separate from the living area,
We did
and
the same
still
thing.
not intimidate the customers.
Yes, we did the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I was actually going to say when we ended off, is we've made a special, like a retail area.
Amazon's here.
Yeah. We have sort of a special isolated retail area that we're going to bring all the plants to. And we have a couple of big trailers. I can bring some of them up that way. And then they'll sit up there for the whole season, hopefully sell them all.
We actually made parking spots up there. We cleared some
Yeah.
brush and trees so
Yeah.
that everybody can just be happy up there.
Right. And then they don't even come to the house. They
Right.
don't come that far. And then the nursery's beyond that.
Right.
So,
Right. And that makes a lot of sense because you're early on. And now as you enter into this, let's say 5 years down the road, you're dedicating all your time to growing
Right.
and selling plants.
Right.
At that point, you can decide, well, do I have regular set opening hours, or do I
Exactly.
keep it by appointment only? Because that works really well. And I think
Right.
either which way is fantastic.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to get back into the interview portion here and ask,
Yeah.
since we're both on social media, you guys run your YouTube channel, I run my YouTube channel. I think it's been useful. I think it's been really helpful to get the word out about my nursery. Maybe I'll ask you, what's the best advice or worst advice? What have you heard about using social media or YouTube to grow your business? And has it worked? Has it not worked?
right. So if you look at our business, it really has two components. So we have the part where we're, sharing and maybe doing a little teaching with the growing our retirement part for somebody who would want to see what we do with a backyard nursery. And then we have the, retail part where we have a website for it. It's not that well developed. We don't have a Facebook for that part, but we eventually will. So I think as we grow, we'll push a little bit more. We have backgrounds in marketing and advertising. So I think we can, we get our website to search pretty well locally. And get some customers, through sort of the organic search and some social media. But we've not done a lot on that side. We've done a lot more on the teaching, sharing side as far as, the backyard nursery.
Right.
Sure. Well, I wouldn't put down your website. I looked at it. I've been browsing through it quickly here, and I will say that something you've done a really good job of is making it lots of, I guess the term would be SEO, search engine optimization, where
Yes.
you not only say what you're going to say, but then you say it, and then you say what you've said. You use the search terms,
Well,
and you make it very complete, which is something that a lot of people won't do when they're writing articles or putting together online content. So I suspect that yours will continue to search fairly well and serve your needs very well.
I hope so.
Right. So, every time we do a video, we say, well, wish we had said this, wish we had said that. So if you go back to the related web page, it actually has a lot more detail, and we can throw a lot of things in there and links and resources. Right. So if, I think of our viewers, some are pretty serious, and if they are more serious, they can go a little deeper.
Yes.
They want to actually start something or learn something new.
Yeah, we often reference that in the video. We'll say, please go to our website.
Right.
There's more information
There's
there.
a lot more there, sure. And then we actually have a whole nother website that's just for the plant nursery that you probably I don't know if you've seen it. So we call it Happy Rock Hill, and it's, you know, going to be more the retail side of the business geared towards the customer buying plants.
Okay, good.
But
Yeah,
that needs a little more work still. So
that all comes with time.
Yeah.
I recall when I first started in YouTube, one of the pieces of advice that I got from a lot of people was, and what they would say is niche down, get yourself into a very tight topic area and really only talk about that topic area. And I have to say that it's probably the worst advice I've ever heard.
Oh, really? Is that right?
It
Because I
is.
hear that all the time too.
Yeah, and what I would say is be focused in what you talk about, but don't be afraid to veer off into adjacencies as it interests you, or because what you're doing is going to interest the people who watched your channel. I made a little video 3-4 years ago on how to get rid of ants that were invading the pots on my nursery.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, you know, it's a 5-6 minute video that isn't going to do that much for me. And I think something like 5 million views later,
Wow.
it's the #1 thing that's driven people to my channel.
Isn't that interesting?
So it's one of those pieces of advice you hear is keep yourself tight or focused. And the answer is, I think your audience will have a lot more tolerance than you might expect for you just going and saying something that you're interested in.
Right. Well, we're
Good
kind of
advice.
dabbling in that a little bit, whereas I talk about gardening a lot with my videos. So, you know, how you start a garden, what you do, what you plant, where you plant it, all these things. And it's just, I think it adds to our channel, and it, you know, there are all different kind of people. Some
Complimentary.
want to plant bushes, and some want to plant perennials. So I think it's very complimentary, and we're shooting in that direction. We're trying to do more of that.
Yeah,
So-
everybody tells you not to, though. You're right.
Oh, totally.
So funny.
Yeah. You know, the other thing I wouldn't mind talking about, just since we're talking here together, is, you know, the relationship on social media is different than it is in the real world. I think in the real world, we tend to look at, let's say, competing businesses as somebody who you should try to beat them. And and I think that's a flawed point of view, by the way, but online, it's 100%. The people who are your competitors are also giving traffic to you, like going back and forth. When you guys succeed, it is my hope that you succeed, you know, in a larger way on YouTube. But when you have a big video, I have every expectation that will drive traffic to similar topics on my channel.
Exactly.
And when I succeed in a big video, it's going to do the same thing for somebody else who shares that topic area. So it's kind of a different thing that you have to think about in social media.
Totally agree. I think the collaboration helps everybody.
I do too.
Yeah. And we watch a lot of other people's channels who you might say are competitors, but really they do something different than we do.
Or they're not near us.
They're not near us. They're different climate, different types of plants. And it's very interesting to see what they're doing. And I always learn something from everyone. I think it's great to pick up tips, and, you know, we've changed things that we do because of things that we've seen, and like, well, let's try that. That might work better.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
you know, that 10,000 hours of experience can include YouTube, right?
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, one of the best things that ever happened to my channel was a gentleman just south of here, Mike Kincaid, put out a video on propagating roses.
Right.
And his video did so exceptionally well, but it also drove around it ripples of traffic through any topic that related to roses. So it was my top referring video for a good long time. So it is one of those things where you get to know that the competitors can be your best friends in this space.
Yeah, we love Mike's channel. It's great.
Yeah.
We're watching him build his new house, and I took his course on rhododendrons because it's one of the things I've not really gotten good at propagating yet.
They're hard, yeah.
And he had some great tips in his course, and I was glad to buy it and learned a lot. And, you know, they take a long time, but I think I may be a lot more successful now since I've learned from someone who's a pro. I mean, he's done a lot. He's got the experience.
Right.
So why not?
What are you guys doing right now? Are you planting? Is it fall planting time?
Yeah. It is.
We just we wrapped up 1,800 plants for this fall. We did it all in 3 weekends. Yeah.
But then he just told me, oops, we have another 300 plants coming. And I was like, I thought we were finished.
Yeah, I knew they didn't all come, so,
So one more weekend.
yeah.
Yeah, you're never finished.
Never finished, right? We've got a lot of transplanting to do now that things are dormant, and then we've got, you know, we're on a pace of about 3,000, 4,000 plants per year or so. And
Yeah.
that's kind of tied to the future
Yes,
revenue that we hope to generate.
right.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll hopefully get there. So we keep at
Perfect.
it. But we're getting better at it. So we're planting a lot of plants in a weekend. We bring in a little bit of help.
We've raised our table up because
Yeah. Backs don't hurt anymore.
we've a lot of nuances have happened. We
Yeah.
figured a lot of stuff out.
So do you do most of your planting in the spring or the fall? Is there a preferred time? What do you like better?
Well, we do both.
We do both,
I
yeah.
think I prefer the fall. Just
do
the
too.
weather's nice. It's
yeah.
cooler.
The plants get more established too.
Yeah, the plants get a really good start that way. They're all settled in and nice before any heat comes or hot
Right.
weather. We can get some pretty dry, hot weather here, so they're really in good shape by spring.
Mhm.
So, but we do both. You know, we split it up.
Yeah.
It's interesting that we both work full time, fair amount of hours, and we're able to plant that many plants in a year. I'm wondering what we can do when we're really full time at it. We might go crazy.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me today about your backyard nursery and particularly on the topic of growing for your retirement or planning for your retirement with growing and selling nursery plants. I think it's a neat topic. It's something that I definitely did. I've been retired, let's say, for 2 years now, but I've never been busier.
Right. Exactly.
Good for you.
And that's what we want. We want to stay
Yes.
busy. So
Right. Together.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Super
Really
nice
appreciate
meeting
it.
you. Take care. God bless.